Want to call the meeting to order. It's so good to see everybody with us today. We know that some can't be with us due to all the activities surrounding the holidays, but we're so glad that you can be with us today for our meeting, the Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities. And Felicia, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Well, if we could have our invocation, I'm sorry, Pastor Doug.
Okay, sure. All right. I'll take care of that. Father, thank you so much for this time of year, what a special time it is, as we celebrate your gift of love to us and how we celebrate our love for one another, often by sharing gifts. And we thank you so much for the fact that we can be together, even in the midst of this pandemic, that we have technology so that we can meet this way. Thank you for those who are making that possible. And we just rejoice in the season, in the festivities, and may all of it be done to your glory, and may all of it be done in a way that keeps all of us safe. And we thank you for that. And for your guidance and all that we do today in our meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay. Roll call.
Kelly Alves is excused for today. Miss Janet Baber. Wanda Beckton is excused. Kenneth Coley.
Here.
Donna Countryman is excused. Aisha Razak Ellis.
I'm here.
Donald Rue.
Here.
Pastor Doug Seymour.
Here.
Tyrone Starkey.
Here.
Miss Pierre Props is excused. Andrea Thomas.
Here.
Don Willis. Councilwoman Brandy Matthews. She's here, maybe she's muted. I see you, Councilwoman, on the line. Delisha Lee. Okay, and we have two special guests with us today. I shared at last month's meeting that I was contacted by a teacher, Miss Angela Parker from Edgewood Community Development School, or is it Development Community?
Community Development.
Edgewood Community Development School. So we have Miss Angela Parker with us today. I invited her last month along with Mr. Kevin Smith, who's the principal at Edgewood, to join with us today. And Mr. Smith and Ms. Parker, our chair, Pastor Doug, will give some space for you to share in a few moments once we get through our preliminary. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to our meeting. Okay, we've called our meeting to order. We want to quickly go over any old business that we have, and Felicia, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have quorum today, so the minutes, approval of the minutes will again have to wait.
That's correct.
Okay. I understand there's a financial report correction that needs to be made.
Yes, there's a minor correction. Last month, I provided the committee, Pastor Doug, you were absent, but the expenditures from the award ceremony for this year, but I forgot the party creations expense. We did place an order at Party Creations for decorations. There was an order placed for balloons. And so Party Creations was paid $76.06, and that leaves the committee's balance at $4,513.91. So I had to make that correction for my OCD's sake.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. All right, and you have something to share with us concerning Wingstop?
Wingstop, yes. So on last month, just so that our guests are aware, the one thing that the Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities does is if there's citizens throughout the community who have an issue with accessing a business, with gaining access to a business, then they can reach out to us and we'll just look into the issue further. And so we've had some situations at Berkeley Mall, McDonald's on Berkeley, that the committee has followed up on and had some success in ensuring that individuals living with disabilities have access at those particular businesses. So last month was brought to our attention, the new Wingstop is located on Berkeley Boulevard in the same little shopping center where Little Caesar's Pizza is. Okay, and Brett, do we have the photos? I did go out, I promised to follow up, so I volunteered to go out and follow up. So I did go out and visit and took some pictures. And as promised, I reached out to a couple of our departments here within the city. And so I'm waiting to hear back. And so we've had really good partnership with our planning, inspections department, code enforcement within the city, who have been very good with working collaboratively with the committee to help us on some of these situations. So Brad, are the photos available, Brad? Okay, if not, I'll just keep talking. So Tyrone, our vice chair, he went out to visit the location. And if you all are familiar with the location, there's a little side street where you can cut through. Okay. So Tyrone, if you could just share again briefly, and while we're getting the photos together, of your experience there, and then the pictures will make sense.
Yes. So, just like we were saying, we have Wingstop, and it's for to get into the primary door of Wingstop. They have their ramp in a place that is directly into oncoming traffic. So, you're basically, if you're trying to access the ramp, you have to go out in the actual road where traffic is coming. And if I remember correctly, there's no like stop sign that tells traffic the stop is a little bit further up. So you really have to be aware to make sure that maybe you're going up the ramp, that oncoming traffic is not coming. Or you got to hope that you don't have someone that's a reckless driver that decides to want to speed through there. You know, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that if we're going to enter into a place of business, we can do it safely without, having to worry about, can I make it or I need to hear that jump in like it's double dutch. So that was my issue going there. And the other ramp that would allow you to have access was at least a couple 100 feet further down. Now, the reason that this is an issue is because depending on the nature of the weather at that particular moment, we want to make sure we have convenience also. So if it's snowing outside, if it's hail coming down, you don't want to be subjected to additional elements that someone that is quote unquote not disabled would either step onto the curb and go into the business. But you have to be subjected to go down a little bit further down and then do the elements. So that's why it's so important that I brought it to the community that we need to at least make a stop sign or something to make it a little bit more safer, so you don't have to endure all those extra dangers just to get into a place to get some wings. And I love chicken wings. I just had to bring that up.
And thank you, Tyrone, for sharing. So when I went out to visit, everything that you shared, I could see firsthand, and so I tried to capture those specific things in the photos. So do we have those available yet? Okay, so, okay, we've got our photos coming. Okay, so the first thing I noted was that there are no, in the whole entire shopping center, there are only 2 handicap parking spots. Now, I'm not referring to adjacent to the shopping center where Dick's Sporting Goods is. So I guess that's a separate, I know the parking lot I think is shared, but for this particular shopping center where Little Caesars is on one end, Wingstop is on the other end, there are only 2 handicap parking spaces, and they are not in front of Wingstop. They're at the opposite end of the shopping center in front of Little Caesars. And so you'll be able to see that in a moment. Okay, so this is the first picture. This is the front entrance of Wingstop. And as you can see, the sun is blurring it a little bit, but there are no handicap parking spaces there. And then there's no ramp, as Tyrone expressed, where he could not access the front of the business, the main entrance to Wingstop. He could not access in his wheelchair from the front. So that's kind of what led to what we're talking about and discussing today. Okay, the second picture is going to be that side entrance. So for Tyrone, he had to go around to the side. This is the side, I guess it's an official entrance to the business. But as you can see, that's where there's a accessibility ramp is there. But it's also on that little busy street that, and I've been guilty of sometimes when I'm trying to duck Berkeley Boulevard's, traffic jams. I will cut through right there at that gas station and access that little street. And so I've seen it happen, it happens every day where people will just kind of cut through, but they're speeding through right there. So if you look at the next picture, this is where that ramp that's in front of that side entrance, this is that little busy street where Tyrone had to drive his van around and park right here just to get inside of Wingstop. And so he had to park on this busy street with traffic coming and going, cutting through, flying through like I've been guilty of. So there we have it there. And then the next picture shows the 2 handicap spots for this shopping center, but again, they're at the opposite end. And then the last picture shows you more clearly that almost to the opposite end where Little Caesars is. So these are 2, and I did ask Tyrone when he brought it to the committee about was there handicap parking and was there a ramp anywhere in the front of the shopping center, and he mentioned exactly what the picture shows, that it was closer to the opposite end. So he could have used that ramp, but he would have to pass about 3 or 4 other businesses. And you see it's a small space, so if there were people coming in and out of those other establishments, he would have been in the way, could have possibly been hit by a door, just in an attempt to get down to Wingstop. So I wanted to provide that follow-up. Thank you so much, Brad, for the photos. Is there any other discussion? Again, I've reached out to our departments here, and they have been very good with providing the committee support, looking into what the ordinances are, the regulations for these businesses, and so I'll definitely be providing another follow-up once I hear back. But is there any discussion now that we've seen the photographs?
Tyrone, it looked like there was no parking places over there on the side where you had to park. So is that the case? Was that street, you were basically forced to park in an area where traffic would kind of have to stop? If they were meeting other traffic, they'd have to stop and wait to go around you?
Yeah, and just for that, I may maybe as I'm a little communication. But what happened that particular day when I parked my van on right in front of what it looked like the main entrance. So I was in a parking space. But then when I got down, I rode around, stopped, looked both ways before I went in the street. Then I turned a little bit and actually in my wheelchair just drove, and hopefully that no one came around the corner as I rode my wheelchair to access the ramp, because as you say, I didn't want no one to have to wait for my van in the middle of the road like that. Because I don't want to be rear-ended, I want to have to deal with insurance. And people are just, they're insensitive. If anyone see my vehicle, I use manual ramps. So my wife is helping me put the ramps down manually, and so whenever I'm coming down, some people will wait for you to come all the way down. Some people will actually try to drive around you, around the ramps, and I just don't want to be in a situation where someone was impatient and thought they could make it around me and hit me. So that particular day, I didn't take that chance. I parked in the park right down the side where the regular park was at, but then I got out, rolled my wheelchair around, and took my chance in traffic, which is dangerous in itself still.
Right.
Anything else? We'll certainly again continue to follow up on this situation. If there's nothing else, Pastor Doug, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. I will say this for just as information for our guests. We've been really pleased. I've been pleased during the time that I've served on the committee with the response that we've seen from local businesses in Goldsboro. Most of the time, when we bring it to people's attention, they will take action on it and do something to correct it. We've not had to fight any major battles to get something corrected. So hopefully this situation will be the same. But I'm really pleased that typically the people in Goldsboro have a heart for those that need a little assistance and will do something to make things easier. So I'm pleased with that. I wanted to take a minute, since we couldn't get together in person and maybe share a meal or something like that as we've done in years past, but especially here during this Christmas season, I wanted to take a minute to just maybe share some of our experiences in interacting with folks with disabilities, or maybe something that we've seen that was a great example of making life better for those that need some assistance, or something along that line. And before I have something I want to share myself, but before I do that, I wonder if you guys, especially our guests, our committee members, either one, if you have something along that line that you'd like to share.
Well, I know I just kind of want to reflect a little bit about just the committee itself and just our cohesiveness. I've been on a variety of different committees, and they had some great individuals on them, but it seems like it's just what it was. You're in your committee mind state, and then afterwards you go on like your regular life, and you don't really hear from those members until you get that together again. But during this pandemic, it's been a real test for everyone, and with this committee we've been tested also. But one thing that separates us from other committees I've been on is that there's a real bond and friendship here. And I've heard from Pastor Doug, I've heard from Felicia, I've heard from Aisha and Newman, Mr. Coley, outside of meetings. I follow their families and their pictures and their journeys, and it makes it different. And I think it's what makes our community so strong because, we have a common interest in each other and the community.
Amen. Thank you, Tyrone. Someone else?
Pastor Doug, Donald Rue.
Hey,
This
Donald.
is some additional insight for the committee to be aware of. Just remember I work at the local jail for the past 3 years now, and I've seen an increase in individuals coming into the facility, whether it be the main jail, as arrestees, or at the detention center. These individuals clearly have some form of disability, whether it be, intellectual or mental or just physical disability. So just as a community, be aware that this too happens with those individuals, and a lot of the law enforcement and just the average citizen. So there's just a many disciplines out there who just not educated or aware, how to deal with some of these individuals, because circumstances do happen, and mainly because their inability to respond normally as we probably would recognize. So there is a growing um, aspect of these individuals who are finding their way into the field.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. That's true. And, in my working with deaf individuals, I've heard horror stories of deaf people who were actually shot by police because they were stopped and they were asked to get out of the car. The deaf person didn't understand what they were saying because the officer voiced to them, and they got out and started gesturing, that kind of thing, and actually got in serious trouble, which there have been steps taken to help with that, special identification that would help an officer to know that this is a deaf individual. But yeah, there's so much ground to cover there in making people aware. Someone else?
Pastor Doug, if we could have our guests to share kind of their role in the community. Certainly at Edgewood has played a vital role in this community for many, many years. As a matter of fact, I attended Edgewood back in whenever for first grade and second grade. So the school is certainly a pillar in our community. But specifically as it relates to children with disabilities, they have provided that service within our community for a countless number of years. So if Ms. Parker and Mr. Smith can share just kind of what made you reach out to the Mayor's Committee, Ms. Parker, and kind of what you like to see as far as a partnership or a collaboration between the committee and Edgewood School.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you to Ms. Parker for suggesting this committee to our leadership team. So thank you, Ms. Parker, for this connection. Thank you, Sir Chair Pastor Seymour, and thank you, Ms. Williams, for this correspondence, and thank you to the rest of the committee for allowing us to be able to come today to be a guest. Edgewood is my heart. Started here back in 2005 as an instructional assistant. Was a teacher here for 5 years, and moved on to work on the DHHS as a teacher for 2 years and a principal at a DHHS school covering 33 counties for 5 years before the opportunity came for me to come back home. So I loved Edgewood. So Ms. Parker and I, we are happy to be here today, and we're not coming to speak about us and our agenda because we are ambassadors for our students. We are here to represent the students of Edgewood. So our school is the only public separate school here within this district. In fact, Edgewood is one of only 25 schools within the state of North Carolina that solely serves special education students. I heard you say, Pastor Seymour, you mentioned the deaf. We know that there is the school in Wilson that would be one of those 25. So it's a rarity to have a school that we have in this region. So because of that reason, I am constantly referring to my team that we are the Special Forces unit. There's no one else that can do it the way that we can. So there's things that we have to do and look to do outside of the norm. So we're excited about the future of Edgewood. And presently, right now, we're serving middle and high school students for students throughout this county. So my focus, and that's what really brings the importance of this connection, this collaboration. My focus is that our students will be prepared for life outside of Edgewood. So that is my conversations with the team here. That's my conversation with the parents, that we want our students to be able to leave here and to be successful in life. We don't want people feeling sorry for them because that is not going to help them to excel like we know that they can. So our team here at Edgewood, we're committed to meet the individual needs of our students, as well as sharpening their vocational and life skills to prepare them for vocational rehabilitation or any programs that are out there that we can connect with that's going to assist our students with maximizing their life. So thank you today for giving us this time to be able to share. And we're just looking forward to the possibilities, the opportunities of being able to connect our students with those resources that are outside of this school. We all know that those resources are limited, but we certainly want to take advantage through collaboration, through making the connections to do what's best for our students. So again, thank you for having us as a guest today.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Parker, did you want to add anything?
No, I didn't want to add anything to it. I think he summed it all up. You know, we're just trying to make sure that the kids here have, you know, just as much the same opportunity as those, you know, already out in the community. And we'd like for these kids to be able to, you know, to go out into the community, to go to the grocery stores and the restaurants and stuff without, you know, that stare or that look. You know, we really like for, you know, the community to accept these kids out in public.
Right. Well, this is something we can follow up on as a committee, but my first thought is personally, I would love to visit Edgewood and just find out more about exactly what you do and how you do it there. I grew up in Goldsboro, and I've heard of Edgewood, known of Edgewood, knew where it was, but I've never been there. Perhaps as a committee, we could have time to just come by and visit.
Most certainly, you are welcome.
Okay. Committee, we will follow up on that. And I want to share with you quickly just a story of how there's so many examples. We've been in ministry for 20 years working with deaf individuals, their families, and during that time we have learned that there are degrees of deafness, and there are also some other disabilities that sometimes go along with deafness if the child is deprived of language early. And some of the adults that we work with now were in that situation. And because they had no language early on, it affected their learning in other areas. And so now as adults, they need a lot of assistance just in day-to-day living. And so we've gotten involved with a number of individuals and families, offering support for them in all kinds of ways. But one of those families that we encountered some years ago, both the husband and wife were deaf, and the husband in particular was from a very, well, just a not good family situation that he grew up in. And this individual, when we met him, you know, some people are easy to like and other people are not so easy. And to just be really honest with you, this gentleman was not somebody you would just like. He was hard to love. He was mean to people. He was rude and hateful to everybody, and just his behavior was terrible and ungrateful when people would try to help him. He just had a lot of things going on, and he was not a likable person. And we worked with him for a number of years and just continued to offer love to him and tried to help him where we could. And our people were very gracious about forgiving him when there were things that he would do and say that were very hurtful, but we just continued to love him. And some years later, he became really, really ill and was in the hospital. He later passed away from that sickness, but during that time that he was in the hospital, I went to visit him and went to his hospital room, and I went there with the idea of I'm going to check on him and I'm going to pray for him. And when I walked into his room, I told him what my plans were. I was going to check on you, see how you're getting along, and I wanted to have prayer with you. And he said, in sign language, of course, he said, I want to pray for you. And my jaw probably hit the floor because I had never heard anything or seen any evidence of anything like that from him. And he proceeded to pray one of the most beautiful prayers. He mentioned all of our people by name. It was overwhelming. It brought tears to my eyes, and shortly after that, he passed away. But it just was something that I've never forgotten, and something that I think of often. It reminds me that, you know, hurting people hurt people. We found out later that the reason he was deaf is because his father grabbed him by the shirt collar and slammed him up against the wall until his eardrum closed. So when people have an attitude like that and they have issues like that, there's a reason why. And it's not an easy thing, but sometimes you just have to keep looking for the good and look past what's right there in your face and see the bigger picture. Look beyond that and see that there's good in there. We just have to get to it and continue to love that person and show mercy to them. And sometimes you'll see that good rise to the surface. And I don't know, that just had a great impact on me personally and on our ministry as well. So since then, I've always encouraged our people, regardless of what response you get, you just keep loving people. And every single person is important. I know I've had teachers sometimes come to me and say, Pastor, we've only got 3 people in my class. Should I just cancel it? And I tell them, no, absolutely not. That if you have 3 people, you have an opportunity to be really personal and individual with each one of them. So take advantage of that. But anyway, I just want to share that as a reflection this year. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve there and to serve on this committee. And one thing that I've shared with my wife more than one time is that I appreciate so much this committee because I feel like you're people that have the compassion for others, and we like being around people like that. People that don't just talk things, but actually take action to and reach out to that people. And there's some wonderful people on this committee that do that, and I thank you folks at Edgewood School too. For, I'm sure you run into all kinds of situations there, but thank you for hanging in there and continuing to do what you do. Anyone else with any reflections on this year or anything related to what we've talked about?
Pastor, this is Mr. Coley.
Pastor Doug, I'll just share that it's been a tough and trying year for all of us, but I appreciate, as Tyrone mentioned, just still being able to be somewhat connected to you guys and the youth council that I work with, and just serving citizens throughout the city. As some of you know, I lost my grandmother on Labor Day to the coronavirus. And so even though there's so many bad, negative things we can focus on when we look back on this year, I've encouraged others to still just, as you said, Pastor Doug, still look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Still know that there's still a little glimmer of hope somewhere. And so throughout this year, I've just learned more and more, especially after the passing of my grandmother, just to be thankful for each day that I'm granted mercy, just to be thankful for an opportunity to continue to serve and just to be here. So that's just my 5 cents.
Thank you. That's a good 5 cents.
Hi, this is Mr. Coley. Yeah, I can say this has been a trying year for everyone.
Mr. Kenny, we can't
but
hear you
this-
that well.
You can't hear me?
Okay, that's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
That better? Okay, I apologize. It's been a trying year, but looking at you say you look at the simple stuff and value that. Look at your neighborhood, your surroundings, anybody that you can have a positive impact on. It may be just a smile, a gesture, a kind gesture, but that will push them to be able to make it through the day. We've all, had, I think everybody may have been hit, losing a family member by the virus. I know I've lost quite a few of them, and it's been interesting. It's been interesting. It's something, an adjustment for a lot. So as we go forth with the winter coming, keep an eye on your elderly, those in the neighborhood, your elderly, your family members, your neighbors, anybody that you can do safely. Help someone with food, any kind of items they may need. Make sure they got cleaning supplies, whatever they need. Do it safely, but just try to be a blessing and go beyond what you can do. Sometimes we don't know what we can do until we sit still and let God show us what to do. I thank the board. I thank everyone for everything that they're doing. And it's been an awesome blessing to serve with everyone. Thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Ken. Merry Christmas to you. And thank you for mentioning the smile. That's been one of the biggest challenges for me in wearing the mask when I go into businesses and places like that. Because so many times people seem to be having a bad day, and you can just smile and speak to them. A lot of times their whole demeanor will change instantly. But with that mask, they can't see if you're smiling or not. So, maybe that'll all be behind us soon. All right, anyone else? Our time's growing short, so Felicia, did you have anything else?
I do not. just blessed holidays for everyone and end of the year. I look forward to seeing you all next year and certainly collaborating with Edgewood, Mr. Smith and Ms. Parker. And just, I'm looking forward to what else the committee, any other new avenues that we can venture out into.
Right. Yes, I agree. Well, Merry Christmas to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and that you stay safe, stay protected, and just enjoy this time. Maybe get some time off and recoup and relax, and look forward to a fantastic new year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you all.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.